Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Pashita Shikarane Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayana Namaskritha Naram Chaiva Narottama Devam Saraswatam Vyasam Jatodaya Madhurayat Mastaprayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloki Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Good morning, devotees. I hope you're all doing well and getting ready for a nice snowy weekend. So we are reading today Srimad Bhagavatam, the third canto, chapter 18, the battle between Lord Boar and demon Hiranyaksha, sorry. And then we're reading from verse 3. So let me pull this up for you. And probably need to make this a little bit bigger. So, okay, hopefully that's visible for everybody. So we'll get started. I'll read the Sanskrit 3 times, and then we can take turns repeating. Ahayanam, ahayanam, adyanamahim dimnachano, rasakasham vishvashrayajam arpita, nasvashti yasyas anya mamnikechata, suradhammatsadita sukarakrite. Ahinami ayadya bahim bimunchano, Rashokasham Vishvashreya Yam Arpita Nasvasta Yashyas Anya Mame Kashata Siradhamma Sadita Surkaryat Krite Ahinam Ayi Agya Mahim Bimunchano Rashokasham Vishvashrejayam Arpita Nasvasti yasya anya mamma keshata Sudradhamma sadita surakrite. A little bit tongue twister today. Would anyone else like to chant?
Ahainam eyajñamahim vimunchano rasaukasham vishvashrejeyam arpita nasvasti yasyasi anaya mama kshata suradhama sadita sukarakrite.
Hare Krishna. Inamehi yaggo mahim bhimunchana rasaukasam bhisho srijameham arpita nashasti yashasha anno mama shataha suradhama sadita sukara krite. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ahinam ehi hagya mahim vimunchano rasokashama vishwa srijayam arpita nasvasti yasyasya anayamameshata suradhama sadita sukara krite. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay. 1 second. Sorry about that. My little scratch this morning. I'll read word for word. Aha. Hiranyaksha said, to the Lord, Ehi, come and fight. Agnya, O fool. Mahim, the earth. Vimuncha, give up, na, to us, Rasha Okasham, of the inhabitants of the lower regions, Vishva, Shraja, by the creator of the universe, Iyam, this earth, Arpita, entrusted, na, not, Svasti, well-being, Yashyasi, you will go, Ananaya, Anaya, with this, Mama Iksha, while I am seeing, Shura Idam, O the lowest of the demigods, Ashadita, having taken, Sukara Akrite, the form of a boar. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The demon addressed the Lord, O best of the demigods, dressed in the form of a boar, just hear me. This earth is entrusted to us, the inhabitants of the lower regions, and you cannot take it from my presence and not be hurt by me. Purport. Sridhar Swami, commenting on this verse, states that although the demon wanted to deride the personality of Godhead in the form of a boar, actually he worshipped him in several words. For example, he addressed him as Vanagochara, which means one who is resident of the forest. But another meaning of Vanagochara is one who lies on the water. Vishnu lies on the water, so the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be properly addressed in this way. The demon also addressed him as Mriga, indicating unintentionally that the Supreme Personality is sought after by great sages, saintly persons, and transcendentalists. He also addressed him as Agya. Sridhar Swami says that Gyan, knowledge, and there is no knowledge which is unknown to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indirectly, therefore, the demon said that Vishnu knows everything. The demon addressed him as Suradam. Sura means the demigods, and Adam means Lord of all there is. He is Lord of all the demigods, therefore he is the best of all demigods or God. When the demon used the phrase, in my presence, the implied meaning was, in spite of my presence, you are completely able to take away the earth. Nasvasti yasyati. Unless you kindly take this earth from our custody, there can be no good fortune for us. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmatamina Tashme Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Sadvakantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadara Shiva Sati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Swami Nityanamane Sanctity Sripani Padmanantarasa Buddham Prabhupada Katharanam Bhakti Charapam. So I'm going to read the translation again. The demon addressed the Lord, O best of the demigods, dressed in the form of a boar. Just hear me. This earth is entrusted to us, the inhabitants of the lower regions, and you cannot take it from my presence and not be hurt by me. These are some fighting words. So we're going to get into this a little bit today. We know that Hiranya, his whole thing is that he is, he is very much the fighter. He's the younger brother of Hiranyakashipu, and therefore he sees himself as the one being tough. He's trying to impress his older brother. This is part of, you might even see this even in some families. You see the younger brother's a little more feisty, a little more scrappy. Maybe it's partly because their older brother is picking on them, but it's also sometimes to look tougher and to please their brother. So we see this dynamic here with Hiranyaksha, with wanting to impress Hiranyakashipu. And Hiranyakashipu just knows he's the king of demons. He's just in charge of everything. He doesn't, he's threatening, of course, but his brother's just going out with a vengeance. He's just trying to, he's just trying to wreak havoc. He's just looking for a fight. It's pictured like him with a club. He just walks around this club and he's just out, just looking to pick a fight with somebody. And So here we can see he's been wandering around trying to find someone to pick a fight with. He comes into Varuna, who is the king of the underworld, and Varuna defeats him simply with wit, and redirects him. He's like, I'm too old. I'm too tired here. There's no combat fighting me. There's no honor in that. But you should find Lord Vishnu. And so through wit, Varuna was able to essentially defeat Hiranyaksha by redirecting his energies to go find the ultimate fight, which would be Lord Vishnu. And here I wanted to there's a couple things happening in this verse that I wanted to talk about today. But I did want to first read the commentary from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which, one second, actually, it just flipped pages in my Kindle here. Okay, so I wanted to read this translation. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, we saw Sridhar Swami, it was also Prabhupada referenced Sridhar Swami. Then I wanted to bring Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur into the conversation as well, because he brings up some really good points. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually created two translations for this in his commentary and his translation of this particular verse. The first translation is, he said to the Lord, "O fool, release the earth. It has been given by Brahma to me for the inhabitants of Garbhodaksha ocean. You will not leave in good health if you take the earth without my permission. O lowest of the Devatas, you have now taken the form of a boar." So this is strong insults here, and he's calling Lord Vishnu the lowest of the Devatas. The second meaning that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur offers for this verse is, "O omniscient Lord, you've been given the earth by Brahma. Do not give up the earth. You will obtain our kingdoms along with the earth by being merciful to me, O supreme among the Devata, who have appeared as a boar for your devotees." That's odd, right? So are you seeing the discrepancy here? We have one is hurling insults and one is offering oblations and prayers. It's all through the same Sanskrit translations. So the commentary Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur offers is that the earth has been given by Brahma to the inhabitants of Garbhodaka ocean. So no one can lift it from the lower regions. Without my permission, Mama Ikshata, you will not leave carrying the earth. There is another meaning to the verse. O omniscient Lord, Agnya, one beyond whom there is no knowledge. The word no can be a negative participle. Thus the sentence can mean, do not give up the earth. Brahma has presented the earth to you. You will obtain not only the earth, but along with it, you will obtain our wealth and kingdoms, Svasti. Why do you give the earth to me? It is because your mercy on me, Ikshata, O best of the Devatas, Sura Adama. This form of the boar is given to your devotees for service. The word no can be interpreted as na or as negative, indicating harm to Varaha. Thus, two meanings can be given to the verse. So I'll take it back to Srila Prabhupada's when he's talking about Sridhar Swami. And he says again about these double meanings. And he's saying that he's actually worshiping him. So he gives specific reference to Vana Gochara, which means one who is the resident of the forest, but also meaning one who lies in the water. And there's also the Mriga. So there's a couple of other areas here where these dual hurling of insults, but also praise, and there's multiple ones in here. The Vana Gochara is one that roams the forest, but actually in the translations, it's a beast that roams the forest, so referring to this wild boar. But the hidden praise again is in Nirvana, which is the water. And who lies in the water? Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. So he's giving acknowledgement to the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. Mriga Mriga is another word that Srila Prabhupada brought up here. And Mriga is here, Mriga actually means like an animal or a prey. So he's referring to the boar as like an animal or a prey or something that would be hunted. But the way Prabhupada is indicating Mriga, and this is also coming from Sridhar Swami, is that Mriga is actually referencing the fact that the concept that the Supreme Personality is sought after by great sages. So here we see again this double meaning, this hidden meaning in some of these words. Agnya. On the surface, Agnya is an insult, meaning he's lacking knowledge, he's foolish. But again, as Sridhar Swami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur both indicated, Ya is knowledge. So Agnya means for one who there is no unknown knowledge. So this is actually saying, oh, omniscient one. Sharadam, the insult is the lowest of demigods. He's saying you're the lowest of demigods. It's such an insult. Yet what he's saying, the hidden meaning to what he's saying is he's saying that you're the supreme lord of all demigods, that everyone is below him, and all the demigods are below him, that you are truly the lord of all that is. And it's the last thing he says is na swasti yasyati. He says that on the surface he's saying you will not leave here in peace. So he's threatening him. He's offering not an insult here, but he's actually threatening the Lord to say there's no way you're getting out of here in one piece. He's threatening to kill him if he makes an even slight attempt at taking the earth from him. But actually, as is by our Sampradaya, by the great thinkers before us have said, he's actually saying that the earth belongs to you. And unless you take the earth from us, there's no good can come. So he's saying, if you leave it in our hands, no good can come from any of this. So this is again this hidden meaning where you will not leave here in peace. But not leaving here in peace means that if he leaves the earth to them, there will be no peace. So these are some really interesting dual, this dual meaning to this. And so what is this double speak? What is this veiled, where is this coming from? Why is he creating this veiled this veiled conversation with the Lord, these veiled insults? What is behind that? Well, we can take a look at the situation and say, okay, he's a demon. He's supposed to be envious of the Lord. His job is to take proprietorship of all the material world. That's what demons do. And in Bhagavatam, going to the Bali Maharaj relationship. So we know that Bali Maharaj was ultimately very, he was the demon king, but with Vamana, Lord Vamana, he ended up surrendering himself. And so how does this happen with the demons and this relationship with the Lord? Well, Bali Maharaj flipped when he realized that he was defeated by the Lord, and then he was completely surrendered, and he offered all kinds of prayers to him. And in the final kind of last throes of this Vamana Dev taking that final step, and the final step was on Bali Maharaj's head, where Bali Maharaj really realized he was defeated and he surrendered himself to the Lord. It is Bali Maharaj is speaking here. He says, "Only by providence have I been forcibly brought under your lotus feet and deprived of all my opulence. Because of the illusion created by temporary opulence, people in general who live under material conditions, facing accidental death at every moment, do not understand that this life is temporary. Only by providence have I been saved from that condition." And the purport goes on. I'll read a little bit of the purport because it's I think a little bit of it applies for today. Bali Maharaj appreciated the actions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although all the members of the demoniac families, except Prahlad Maharaj and Bali Maharaj, considered Vishnu their eternal traditional enemy. And this is important because traditional enemy, what does that mean? Well, have you ever heard about these lifelong rivalries? We even see it in sports, right? You have these, you're raised to hate the Dallas Cowboys, you know, people in Philadelphia especially. People might be raised to have some sort of grudge against a family member. And so then they grow up, having enmity toward them. There's inimical feelings toward them. There's no closeness. Maybe they are casting dispersions on them, whatever that might be. There's some tradition in the family of having having some discord with that person, with that sports team, whatever it is. So we're seeing here it's the same with the demon families, that they were raised. It is the eternal tradition to be inimical to the Lord, to be envious of the Lord, to see the Lord as their um, mortal enemy, their to be as their want someone to conquer. So this is where Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha are coming from. But we know only one lifetime prior, they were dear devotees of the Lord. So this is all of this playing out. The demons are often cycling through from demigod to demon, and this is all playing out in some master theatrical expression for the Lord's enjoyment, for the Lord's activities. So we don't know exactly why these are happening, but we can see there's a constant switching around. So you might understand then how one could take double meaning, because even though it's the tradition to be envious of the Lord, the tradition to see the Lord as their enemy, this is also something that is coming from deep within, that is also knowing that the Lord is actually their benefactor. And so the other component of the demons, and we see this with Hiranyakashipu and his brother, that the demons want everything for themselves. This is the demonic mentality. I talked about this in class last Saturday, the traits of the demoniac person. They are looking to, take over everything. Everything they see is theirs. Everything is conquerable. They see wealth, they see fame, they see glory, all of it to be theirs. And Prabhupada says in the purport for this chapter regarding Bali Maharaj, he said, actually, everyone should fear the so-called society, friendship, and love for which he works so hard all day and night, as indicated by Bali Maharaj by the words, Janad Bahita. Every devotee in Krishna consciousness should always be afraid of the common man engaged in pursuing material property. Such a person is described as a pramata, a madman chasing the will o' the wisp. Such men do not know that after hard struggle for life, one must change his body with no certainty of what kind of body he will receive next. Those who are completely established in Krishna conscious philosophy and who therefore understand the aim of life will never take to the activities of the materialistic dog race. And it's here he says Bali Maharaj appreciated how the Lord had saved him from such a bewildered life of ignorance. So let's go back to today's verse. What we are hearing in this hurling of veiled insults, right? There's actually veiled prayers or insults that were actually turned in on their end as prayers. He said, unless you take the earth from our custody, there will be no good fortune here. So he's saying, please save us from this repeated um, uh, misfortune that ruling over, his ruling over the earth is not going to bring any benefit to anybody, as in not Vishnu's ruling over it, but Hiranyaksha's ruling over it. This is going to bring benefit to no one. So he's asking the Lord to take it from his hands. And so these are some really important things, and and so we can say that although he's calling the Lord a fool, he initially, when he comes in, he just sees the boar. He's just seeing him, and this is through the insults as well. He's calling him a boar, like a resident of the forest, an animal. And this takes us to initially, this is the demonic vision, right? Not having that divya chakshu, he couldn't see the Lord in front of him initially. He just saw the boar. And so this brings us to the verse, fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be. And this is again here. And Prabhupada says in his purport in this Gita verse, there are many Ishvaras, controllers, and one appears greater than the other. In the ordinary management of affairs in the material world, we find some official or director, and above him there's a secretary, and above him a minister, and above him a president. Each of them is a controller. The one is controlled by the other. So we can see here that Hiranyaksha is desiring that control, but he's not seeing that the Lord's right there in front of them, in front of him. So this is part of that nature, and this is the nature of it's the demonic nature, but it's something that the jivas must be also very attuned to in our own encounters in the world, in ourselves. This desire to kind of lord over the material nature. This is something that can be very entangling. We know that in the material energies, they are very sticky. When we do try and control them, we are going to just pull ourselves further and further into the quagmire of life. It's going to get us further and further away from the Lord. And with each lifetime, we're then getting deeper and more entangled, further and further away from our ultimate purpose. And our ultimate purpose being coming back into a loving relationship with the Supreme. So, fools deride me when I descend. This is what the Lord says. Krishna is saying this right there and then to Arjuna. He understands this. But yet he's not perturbed at all by the situation. The Lord is never perturbed in any of this. He continues on. He continues on because what is the Lord trying to do as in the form of Varaha? What is he doing? He's trying to save the earth. He's trying to pull it out of the ocean. He's trying to rescue it. And is he put aside, cast out, distracted from his ultimate duties as a result of these insults being hurled at him? No. He continues on. He's not at all thrown off by by this demon threatening him. He's not at all worried about it. And so in this last section, we can really take from this that we're getting this example set by the Lord as well, that even though the Lord is getting distracted from the demon's attempting to distract him. He's not actually getting distracted. The demon is attempting to distract him from his duties. He's trying to engage him in conflict. And he's trying to do this. Why? What is the purpose of all of this? He was just wandering. He was just looking for a fight. He was looking for the best fight he could find. someone worthy, a worthy of opponent. And then when he finally comes across the Lord, he's realizing, oh, you're not going to take this world from me, it's mine. So he's recognizing the Lord is trying to save the earth, and Hiranyaksha is saying, no, that's mine. That's his. So he's not only he's looking for a fight, but he's now just trying to claim everything as his. For what, according to what designation he thinks that Lord Brahma gave him everything, that this was all ordained, and this was the whole thing that Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha have come into this existence with these boons from Brahma, thinking that the world is their oyster. They've been given these benedictions, they've been given this opportunity in the demon form to rule at the benediction of Lord Brahma. And so we talked about this earlier in the week, that this is kind of taking that a step further and using that as a weapon to say, I have this behind, I have the Lord Brahma behind me, and therefore you should be afraid because I have all of this. I have the authority to be walking around tough, ready to defend, ready to fight, ready to attack. So, and again, like I said, this dual conversation that's happening is really because they're Jai and Vijay. They were the servants of the Lord, and demons often ultimately come when they're defeated by the Lord. This is the best boon that they can get as a demon. We've seen in the pastimes of Krishna and all of the demons that he defeated. All of them received benediction. That was the highest benediction for them to be defeated by the Lord. Putana, so many others that because they came and they challenged and they tried to kill Krishna. That's ultimately what saved them. It's kind of a little strange, right? It actually, them getting defeated by the Lord was actually a benefit to them. And then they can go on and their next lifetime, maybe they get a better life as a Brahma or in a Brahminical family, or they, and some of them, they merge into the energies of the Lord. So, but here we know that, the Lord like I said, in today's culture, we know that when we are coming across things that might throw us off kilter, and this can happen sometimes in life, we can come into a situation we feel like we're doing something, trying to stay focused in our spiritual activities, or trying to stay focused on our sadhana, and someone might come in and they might try and pull us away, maybe knowingly, maybe unknowingly. Look at all of Srila Prabhupada. He's a perfect example of dealing with so many challenges, and even, some seemingly demonic personalities that really tried to thwart his efforts, especially when he came to the US. He had all kinds of situations arise. I mean, even with the deprogrammers, there was all kinds of things that were happening that were thwarting his efforts. In India, he was trying to secure the lands. I think it was for the Juhu temple, trying to secure that land, and he kept running up against all these issues that they were not, the landholder was not being forthcoming in the land transfer. And this was a very complicated situation for Prabhupada and his disciples. They were navigating this for many years. And all of this was, in an attempt to prevent the growth, prevent the devotees from being able to carry out their mission. How often you hear about the devotees in Russia that were thrown in jail? You hear about, people that are, whose families cast them out because of their work that they're doing. And this is the material world. This is the energies. the thing about where we are in the material world and the material energies is there are divine and demoniac energies all mixed together in individuals, in the material world. And so we are here navigating them. So how do we deal with this? Maybe we post something on Facebook that we find very meaningful, or post something on some social media platform, and someone starts trolling it and starts tearing it apart. This is so common. This is exactly what Hiranyaksha is doing. He's insulting the Lord. He's trolling him. He's trying to lessen him. But again, there's these veiled prayers. So the attention is actually, sometimes they say, oh, they're just envious. And through that envy means that they're wanting something that you have. And so in this reframing of the situation in modern day world, we have these situations where we might be trying to do our work, and then suddenly we get cast, we get pushed aside, or something happens that intervenes with where we are and the activities that we're doing. And how do we handle that? How do we handle that? Well, the Lord just knows. The Lord sees what he has to do, and he keeps doing it. And this is very hard to do because we can take things very personally. We can get very we can become very distracted or maybe discouraged in some activities that we're doing, which can really create a wall or an obstacle for us. And this is the goal, right? When people are trying to criticize, they're trolling, or they're blocking our endeavors, they're trying to stop them. And so if we let ourselves be stopped in those endeavors, and if we really believe in them, if we feel that what we're doing is for the right purpose, then it's that internal conversation to say, okay, this is something that's really meaningful to me. This is something that I believe in, and I'm going to continue forward with it. I'm going to continue on and whatever, be damned to the other people who are trying to stop me in this, and continue forward, and just take the shelter in the Lord, hoping that everything that we're doing is for the benefit of our relationship. If we feel that we're getting thrown off from our sadhana because of someone else's intervening, we take that prayer, but we have to carefully guard ourselves. And in these material energies, we are not Lord Varaha, that is all knowing, that is all powerful. And so we are faced with these things on a regular basis. We are faced with these challenges that come into our lives. And so how we handle them is very much can be very much determine how we move forward in our lives in that purpose. So it's an opportunity for us to step back and see, okay, is this something that I can really overcome? Is this something that I really believe in? So I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to go over those few points that Prabhupada and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur talked about. I'm going to just give a quick recap on some of the things that we discussed earlier on for those of you who came in a little bit later. The key thing for today is that there was really this double message happening in the verse, and there were a number of insults being hurled at Lord Varaha that were actually hidden praises. And so at the end, we know that we know that the Lord always prevails, right? But he continues on. This is not a one-time thing. This verse continues on for a couple of verses where he's hurling just these very damaging things. And he was in a couple verses later, he said the Lord was pained by the abusive words of the demon. So the Lord bore the pain. He was pained by it. Yet he continued on. He knew what he had to do. And he was feeling the need to rescue the earth, and he had this deep, deep mission to rescue the earth. So he knew he could not stop. He couldn't let this demon challenge him in such a way that would stop the efforts and stop what he had to do. So he continued on. And so I don't want to go too much deeper into the verses ahead because I'll leave that for other speakers, but I'll take a break for today and see if there's any questions or conversation or anything else anyone would like to ask or discuss for today. Okay. So I thank all of you. We're supposed to get a lot of, oh, go ahead, Prabhu.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the nice class and being able to, help us see kind of the underlying, conversation and story that we may not be able to perceive directly. It reminded me almost of like, I went to school. I was an engineering student, but we had to take humanities and we had to take some English classes, and we would read things, and like my mind wasn't trained to see what like a humanities, professor could see, and like we would read like a passage, and I remember like the teacher would almost be like giddy of like, don't you see what they're saying here? And like everyone's like, no, it's like they're just, she said this, she said that. Like, no, no, no. He's saying this, but he's really saying that, and she's understanding this. And at first glance, at the surface, superficially, um, if a person could just read this and not be able to see that these insults are simultaneously a glorification. And most of the world would probably see it this way. Um, but understanding the kind of the inner meaning that the this fight has been initiated, by the will of the Lord, wanting to do, engage in this, fight. It's, part of his, this is a play that's going on. This is a sport that's been arranged. And part of that, there's just there's a superficial way of looking at this, and then there's like the actual deeper meaning way of looking at it. And I find that so interesting here.
Yeah, thank you. It's thanks to our previous acharyas, really. I'm with you, Prabhu. At a first reading, I might say also, okay, he's a demon. He's attacking him. What do you expect? He's a demon. But thanks to the elevated knowledge and wisdom of those like Srila Prabhupada, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sridhar Swami, we have such deep understanding. And imagine, and this is why the taking the shelter of a spiritual master is so important. Because like you said, Prabhu, you were in a humanities class and it wasn't your major, you were an engineering student. And you needed the teacher to explain these things. Because that first reading, you took it at face value, like most would. And same thing with this Srimad Bhagavatam. So imagine if we just took it upon ourselves to learn Sanskrit and translate things and take the direct translation of Srimad Bhagavatam. And what we're getting is a very surface understanding of these events, of these stories. And how are we benefiting from that? Well, maybe we'll derive a little bit of benefit because it's a transcendental text, right? So simply by the nature of reading something transcendental, we will derive benefit. But it is under the guidance of spiritual master or in the lineage for us, we have such a deep, deep and rich lineage of acharyas that because we have access to all of these acharyas, we are not just getting that surface understanding, like someone that comes in cold and tries to do it on their own without the cocoon that's been created for us to understand these things on a more deep level. So this is, again, we may think that that we can just do it ourselves. We can just go out and pick up any old copy of Bhagavatam or any old copy of the Gita or this or that text, and it's good, it's fine. But buyer beware, we have to understand what is the understanding, what is the background of the person who is creating those translations. Because if I speak other languages, I speak English predominantly, and I just certainly don't speak Sanskrit, so I can't make an assessment on that on my own. So we have to rely on someone's translation. And so we take faith in the fact that Prabhupada has referenced all of these other great acharyas to give us that deeper understanding, to help us see the dual meaning here, so that we can actually take home and take to heart the message that's gonna expand our bhakti and to increase our devotion and our surrender. So thank you, Prabhu, for that great example. I love that. Any other questions before we wrap it up for the day? Okay. Always a pleasure being with all of you. I hope you are all safe this weekend. We're expecting a lot of snow. So be safe, stay warm, and we'll see each other soon. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaidhicha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, everyone. Have a wonderful day.